Estás escuchando PlanetaXLive.com. Descarga la aplicación en tu iPhone o Android Market.
Hello, Jennifer Villarreal here. Welcome, heart-centered business professionals, sales pros, and entrepreneurs. This is the Sales from the Heart Show, the place where business meets heart and soul. And with me today is our special guest. He's a former marketing mind for a 6-store Domino's Pizza franchise in Chicago. Now he's a global business and social media keynote speaker. Welcome, Ramon de Leon, otherwise known as Ramon Wow.
Said that incredible and made me smile. Excited to be here, and thanks for the opportunity.
All right. So, Ramon, for those out there that might not know you, even though you're globally known, can you give a little bit of a background about yourself?
You know, what I tell people is that I'm really just a guy from Chicago, a former pizza guy that got it. So what's it? You know, about now it would be 28 years ago, I started as a pizza delivery driver. So for about 3 years, I was the guy that ran up to your door, knocked or rang that doorbell, and delivered your pizza.
Nice.
But it eventually turned into much more than that, because I ultimately learned that the connections, those real face-to-face interactions with customers, were the building blocks of absolute essential business. And when I decided to make a career out of not necessarily delivering pizza, but being in the restaurant business, those 3 years and the early learnings that I had as a kid from my mom watching her sell Avon are basically, the essentials that really helped us, set ourselves apart from the competitors and set myself personally apart from other people in the digital marketing and pizza business.
So the specialty that you really can bring us today is on social media, branding, and marketing. Is that correct?
Absolutely, because the essence of business is people doing business with people. And it's incredible how that mindset, that micro interaction is something that people have actually forgot.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of interesting stories out there that people have regarding their own branding and marketing experiences, and you're going to share a few more of your own stories. But if you would like to participate and share your story or ask a marketing question that you just have that on the tip of your tongue and you need some answers today, please call in. The number is 773-236-0015. You can also connect with us at our website at PlanetaXLive.com. That's PlanetaXLive.com. And again, we welcome your questions. So where do we begin with branding, Ramon?
Think about this. What's old is new. And that was an answer to a question that I gave a couple of days ago while attending a conference in Cleveland, Content Marketing World. So you have 2,500 very, I would almost say, fanatical marketers on content marketing. And one of the questions that was going around is, what's next? What's new? And unfortunately, today, we all want to know that. I mean, look what's happened with this new phone that's going to come out. And I even hate to say it, the iOS, because I'm not a fan of the Apple phone.
Yay, Android's in the house.
I'm an Android guy. But take a look at what happened. Yes. As soon as they said new nuevo teléfono, boom, Apple.com crashes because of a ridiculous amount of pre-orders. Same thing happens in business. We all want to know what's the new Facebook, what's the new this, what's the new that. Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. What matters is that what's old is new, and what I mean by that is no matter what shiny object there is, it's all going to come down to a conversation. Is it something that you can really do? Is it something that you can really hold face to face?
Well, let's dive into that a little bit more about that conversation, how we can engage with our audience. So you're saying that's a crucial piece of this marketing and branding.
Absolutely. I mean, think about this. Very few digital strategists are going to tell you, use the tools of social media today to be a fly on the wall and to listen to what your customers are talking about and listen to what's important to them even though it might not be brand specific to you. There's, dollar-wise immediately, there's no ROI in that, and it's something that people don't want to do because it's a whole lot of hard work. But in essence, that is what creates real opportunities to engage with someone when you can see, wow, look at this is what they are interested in. And if I can find a way to also be interesting and of value to them and make them feel like no other person can make them feel, that's when you connect and you make real
genuine connections.
Genuine connections, absolutely.
Yeah. So before we dive into the authenticity of that, because that's what we break down on Sales from the Heart. That's the whole premise of that, understanding who you truly are, who you truly work for. That foundation is critical. But there could be some resistance. You mentioned that right now.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about some of the main points of resistance to get through first.
The two main points of resistance that I believe exist are fear and work. See, especially with social media, people are like, you know what? I don't even want to be on social because people are only going to talk about bad things about me. Look at it and think of it like the weather. If you were in Cabo San Lucas the past couple of days and you're reading the weather report, what are they going to tell you? Terrible hurricane, bad weather, find shelter. Why? Because that's how the weather is, and the weather person, that's what they're reporting. But go back a month ago. What's the weather person in Cabo San Lucas talking about? How beautiful the day is. So what I mean by that is that you as a personal brand and you as a business, if you create positive emotions, if you make people feel incredible, if you are living up to and exceeding their expectations, what are they going to talk about? How awesome you are.
Okay, so let's break that down to a first step. So they're getting out of their own way. They're realizing it's more about their target audience. How do they connect with their target audience? How do you really understand what it is that they want?
Well, first of all, you need two things. You're gonna need to know where your audience is, where they reside, where they live, talk, and play, and how do they do it, and in what language. Give you an example. I had 6 stores here in Chicago. One of the stores was in the South Loop. Part of the South Loop, our service and delivery area, was Chinatown. Do you think I had any Chinese-speaking team members working for us at that store? Absolutely. Other stores that we had were in Logan Square and on 26th Street, La Villita. Do you think in those highly Hispanic stores we had anybody that spoke Spanish? Absolutely. So that's one of the basics. You need to be able to speak the language of your customer base, of your clients, of your prospective clients. If you don't speak that language, one, that's the first obstacle.
And we're talking beyond just Spanish and Chinese,
Yeah.
right? We're talking about the verbiage that they use, the sayings that they use, not the technical jargon behind the product or the service that you're offering. So one of the ways that you can do that is by taking that champion, that person that's promoting your service and your product for you and telling all their friends, have a conversation with them, find out exactly what is important to them, and then use that in your marketing. Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah, absolutely. And now that's in just regular conversation, basic business. Now make it digital, okay? So now I have these stores and I know where the customers exist. I know what language they're talking, but now where are they saying it? So you could do something very simple. Ask them. Real simple surveys, real questions asking people, do you use the tools of social media? What do you like to use? Then at that point, you can easily find out where to channel your efforts. Is it going to be Facebook? Is it going to be Twitter? Is it going to be Instagram? Is it going to be Vine? Is it going to be Snapchat? And is it going to be what somebody hasn't even developed yet? That's where you need to, and that's how you figure out where to exist. A really good example that I have from that is a small business. A friend of mine on 18th Street, 18th and Paulina, Carnitas Uruapan. On Facebook, they dominate because their clients, their customers live, breathe, and share on Facebook. And, over 10,000 likes and an incredible amount of conversation that actually goes on there. Compare that to Twitter, compare that to Instagram, they don't get the same results. So different markets, different neighborhoods are going to give you different avenues for success.
Right.
It isn't always Facebook.
Exactly. That's a key point there. So you have to pick number one, these are the 3 basic rules of marketing 101. Understand who your target audience is. Number 2, you want to craft your message, but then where is your audience more likely to see that? So is it YouTube? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it LinkedIn? Is it email campaigns, direct mail? And maybe it's a combination. Usually it's not all of those avenues. That can take some time to build up and to manage, and usually you want to outsource and have somebody do that. However, let's break that down where people say, you know what, I have no idea how to tweet. I'm personally, yikes, I don't use Twitter right now. A lot of my business does come through Facebook, LinkedIn, obviously referrals, speaking engagements, and Twitter is on the plan coming up over the next few months. So how do you advise somebody where to start when they're overwhelmed with all the social media options?
Again, the first thing is as I just mentioned, figuring out which of those channels is important for you to invest your time and energy, because social media, it's not free. Because the biggest cost there, more so than the device that you're going to use, is going to be your time. So you need to make sure that that's channeled and focused. Now, I'm going to give you a Twitter tip. Me and Twitter go back a long way. And the reason I say that is that in 1997, when we launched online ordering, e-commerce for Domino's Pizza, 7 years before Domino's Corporate made it a standard, one of the problems that we had was that internet access was mostly dial-up. The problem with that is that in many homes, the intercom system was tied to the phone line. So when we came to deliver your pizza and we rang the doorbell and you were on the internet, the doorbell didn't work. The intercom system did not function. So what we had is we launched instant messaging. So the ICQ is what we started with in 97, 98. That eventually became AOL. AOL chat rooms were absolutely incredible. And then it became Twitter. So what I'm trying to say with regards to Twitter, think of Twitter as a personal search engine. Think of it as a way for you to curate and get information and get valuable data of the community and of what people are talking about in real time. There's an awesome website out there, Topsy, Topsy, topsy.com. Looks like a regular search engine, but the thing is, the results that it gives you are Twitter results. So let's just say, you are in the business of selling cosmetics. Just think of a specific, cosmetic, an eyeliner, nail polish, something. You look for that on Twitter, and you'll find there's a lot of filters that you can apply to narrow down the searches, be it geo, if you're national, by language, by links. And once you start reading and once you start seeing all of that information that it brings back to you, you start to see the value of Twitter. So you don't necessarily need to tweet to use Twitter.
So you can use the search engine called Topsy, Topsy.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then the benefit to the person searching through this type of search engine is what? How did they directly relate that to their business?
Well, what it is the differences between that and a web search like Bing or Google is that, first of all, you're not going to get hit with ads. And the only results that you're going to get are people talking about what either you're selling or you're an expert at. So, granted, let's go back to the cosmetics. You sell the cosmetics, and you probably consider yourself an expert in cosmetics and with regards to being able to recommend a specific product that you're selling. What happens if someone goes onto Twitter and says, I can't believe I can't find the perfect eyeliner. I really wish that someone knew something. Now there you go. Now you have the information, you have a potential lead, but ultimately you have the opportunity to enter a conversation and ask someone a question.
Right. So you're not necessarily looking to push your product and chase down clients. You want to be providing valuable content and a resource and help them. Can you dive into that a little bit more? Because you did that so great, where you understood it was about serving other people, whether you saw direct ROI back right away, right? Absolutely. Why is that important?
Here's one of the funniest things I think about is You know how hard it is to give away money? I mean, it sounds like it's easy. You're like, yes, let me just grab, $20, $10 bills and just throw them up in the air. Yes, people will will clamor over those. But what happens if you had individual $5 and $10 bills and you were in a busy intersection and you were running up to people and saying, here, I want to give you these $10. You think people immediately are going to take that or are going to think, well, wait a minute, what's the catch? So the same thing happens in digital when you just try and push and promote your brand without anything else. You're immediately going to get that resistance, and now you have no value, no ROI for your time or for the potential client.
So can you give us a specific example of a couple ways you were able to connect with your audience?
Absolutely. Using Twitter tools, something as simple as Hootsuite, and searching.
Wait, let's break that down for some people. What is Hootsuite?
Hootsuite's it's a social media monitoring platform, and what you do there is you just type in keywords and say, I want to know if people are making any mentions online of, and then you put in the keywords. So in my case, it was always my brand. It was always Domino's, pizza, hunger, food, and then my competitors' names. So the first thing I wanted to make sure is that with regards to customer service, that if anyone had any customer service issues with my brand, I heard about it. The worst thing is, and especially the basics of word of mouth marketing, is word of mouth, if it's not heard by someone else or by the brand, almost has no value. So as a brand, if people are talking about you either in a good way or in a bad way, you want to know about it. So it's not like, if I'm really excited about my phone and I say it, if no one hears it or the brand isn't able to curate or capture this positive emotion and sentiment, then it has no value. So one thing was all based on customer service, because there's no business out there that exists that doesn't have customers, let alone repeat customers. And the most important customers you have are your active ones. So if someone has a negative experience, you want to make sure that you're able to address that situation and not lose a customer. So there's many examples, but one of the biggest ones for me was a customer by the name of Amy Corin, who this was like 08 or 09, it just casually tweeted, I can't believe ordered 3 Domino's pizzas online. Such a little room for human error. How did they get one of my pizzas wrong? Now, for me, I was like, wow, wait a minute. We need to solve this problem.
And how did you do that?
So the first thing I did, I sent a text message to all my stores who just had a customer within the past hour by the name of Amy Corin. Let me know we have a problem. So one of the stores called me and said, boss, you know what? Don't worry about it. She already called the store. We remade her pizza. We gave her a voucher for a next free order, and it's already taken care of. And I thought, you know what? She vented and voiced her concern via social media on Twitter. So the thing is, I need to make sure that we respond that way, because it's almost like if a customer if a customer actually writes you a letter, again, what's old is new. If a customer writes you a letter of concern about your business, it probably would be very beneficial to respond to them in writing. Unless they also said, please feel free to call me. So in this situation, I really wanted to go above and beyond. And I wanted to let Chicago know what it was like to order pizza from us and how much that we truly backed up our product and service. So I made a video apology to the customer. So I went down to the store. We had a meeting with the management team, and we just shot a very simple video. Longer than I would like at 2.5 minutes, but we shot the video basically.
Just on your phone, right?
Yeah, just saying, Amy, I apologize for what happened yesterday. I know there was an NBA game going on, and I know it was raining, but that should no way have had any impact on the fact that we made you the wrong pizza. So when we posted that, my goal was view 1, that she sees the video, but somehow, the world and her friends got to see that video before her, started commenting on it, sharing it, and it kind of became semi-viral,
when he says the world, Saw it literally.
The world. Yeah.
Do you know how many views?
I would tell people, when I got over 1,000, I was happy. When I got over 100,000, I was like, wow, this is incredible. When I got over 1 million, I said, you know what? I think we're going to stop. We're going to stop monitoring 1 million views.
1 million views
on a video
from
apology.
Ramon being authentic and sincerely apologizing to someone. And it might not seem like a big deal to most people that it was 3 pizzas, but for him, 1 pizza, 1 slice was very important to you. And look at how this, I mean, I remember seeing that at the National Restaurant Association show where they played that on the screen and talked about it. And that was years ago, right? We met about 6 years ago. And so, I mean, just the power of being real and authentic goes a long way. And then you couple that with social media and watch what that does for your brand as well.
Now many times, here's the, I don't know, maybe the kickback some people will say, with regards to, something like that, like, how do you do it? How do you handle it? It's incredible how in a restaurant or a brick and mortar business, when you have a concern, people have a plan for that. It's like, no problem. Here's the game plan, customer concern. This is what you say. This is what we do. Here's how you handle it. All of a sudden, somehow, it goes on social and it goes on digital. And we forget that we have a plan because somebody shared it in an open forum. Mm-hmm. And that's that barrier of fear you need to get rid of. And you need to just go back to your training and say, okay, this is how we handle customer concerns in our business. Mm-hmm. It's no different.
And map that out. Well, I think we might have somebody on the line here that has a question, whether it's pertaining to your marketing, your brand, sales. Feel free to call in. That number is 773-236-0015. All right, let's go ahead and welcome our first caller. Hello. Are you there? You're live with Ramon and Jennifer. Okay, we might have lost the caller. We'll give it a couple more. If not, okay, I think I hear you.
Hi, am I on?
Yes, you are. Welcome.
Okay, hi. My name is Judah, and I've been a writer and reporter, and I've interviewed CEOs and stuff like that. And one of the things I really am intrigued by from your guest is how do you measure the effectiveness of humor, because humor is always so well received in commercials. And to take a good example, the 2014 Super Bowl Domino's commercial, which I thought was really good. And it was my kind of humor, kind of a dry humor. But when you see activity on social media, does that really matter as much as the bottom line of, are you selling more pizzas as a result of that ad? And is there like a time frame also in follow-up, and to know if that money on the advertising really was well spent?
Oh, absolutely. And here I'll give you a couple of examples from when I was in the pizza business and my point of view on that, with regards to the humor. Fortunately enough, humor is an underlying factor of emotion. And emotion is the only thing that can really do 2 things. One, aside from pain, get us to change human nature and get us to share things. Now, I would always tell people, you know what? I'm selling Domino's Pizza in Chicago. So you need to realize that if we were keeping score, that's already a handicap. That's a -2 at the least, because when people start talking about the fact that they just ordered Domino's, I need to make sure that I'm giving them enough tools and enough sentiment and enough emotions so that they're willing to take what I call a digital bullet. And what do I mean by that is that as soon as you post and you share, can't wait, so excited, Domino's Pizza's headed my way, your friends are going to attack you. And they're going to say, seriously? You live in Chicago. What are you doing ordering Domino's Pizza? And then if you have the humor and if you have the emotion, now this is during the order taking process. Now, getting back to the ad, although I wasn't involved in national, corporate spending on that, but my opinion on something like that and the way that we handled it, so that I almost immediately always saw an ROI was just a reallocation of budget. so that I wouldn't necessarily have to be looking for a certain increase in revenue to determine if we made money or there was an ROI. So, give you an example. So, whatever budget 100% was, we would take a certain dollar amount of that and just reallocate it. And by reallocating it, we're spending money that was going to be spent already. So, in my point of view, if you can create things that are emotional and really connect with people, that's what people are going to remember. Secondly, is that when you do things that people talk about, be it, if Ad Age picks it up or Adweek or whoever, those aggregated eyeballs are going to be really hard to measure. And the only thing you can do is just give it your best effort. And, I don't like to say that hope is part of a business strategy, but, if you plant everything, things should go the right way. Another quick example is, after speaking at an event in Sydney, the next day I asked the crowd, roughly about 900,000 people, I said, how many people after hearing me speak went home and ordered a Domino's pizza? About 2 hands went up. Then I said, how many people yesterday after hearing me speak went home and told someone that they just heard this pizza guy talk about Domino's? Now they all raised their hand. Now, of the people that they told, if they went out and told someone else, or if they went out and bought or recommended Domino's, that's a metric we'll never be able to measure. But because we injected emotion and because we believe we did our homework, we can, really, and again, I hate to say hope, but
Well, why not?
The
desire... hope is powerful, right?
Well, hope's powerful, but it's not a line on a financial
maybe it's not
statement.
Exactly, but it's still very important to your business success. So, Judah, hopefully we answered your call there.
And I'd love to follow up anytime, Judah. We'll share my contact details later, and I'm always just a tweet away.
All right. Thanks, Judah, for calling in. Any other questions?
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. I believe we have another caller on the line as well. So welcome. Are you there? All right. We might have lost them. Feel free to call back in. All right. And so you mentioned a couple things there where somebody like the startup entrepreneur or a small business owner might be a little intimidated. They don't have the status of Domino's behind them to back them up. What would you advise to them?
Forget about all that stuff and forget about your competitors. Think about yourself. Because no matter what you do, it's going to be you, your emotions, your desires, to see those opportunities. What you do have, you have your personality. What you do have, you have your speed. What you do have is you have your own life story that can really help you connect one-on-one with your customers.
Absolutely. So acknowledge those unique gifts that you have and share those with other people. And when we remember about the person that we're actually there to provide that product, that service to, that'll actually release the pressure on your own shoulders. So focus on your target audience. And if you don't know who your target audience, if you say that your product is for everyone, that's being too broad. You need to be a bit more specific. Did you have an ideal audience of who you wanted to focus on with Domino's, and who was that?
Well, when you look at it, really it's like, anyone that's hungry and needs food in Chicago. Okay, so that's everybody. Mm-hmm. But the first thing we really focused on was our actual customers. The people that we already had, the business that you're going to get just because you turned the light on. And, it's going to depend on the business. That could be one customer a week, one customer a quarter, one customer an hour, a minute, a day. But the thing is that if you really start with those essential building blocks of that one-on-one and the order that you're getting now, that's where you can test. That's where you can compare. That's where you can really put your ideas in action as you go forward. Mm-hmm.
All right. And so let's say you're putting some of these things into action and you don't necessarily get the desirable result that you want. Ramon, have you had any flops where it didn't come through? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I have to say is that we need to thank someone, be it God, goodness, or a spirit, for failure. And I go back to some of these basic things of business. When was the last time when you bought a car? I don't care if it was used or brand new off the lot. They showed you how to fix a flat tire. mean, they spend more time teaching you how to sync up your phone via Bluetooth than they do of actually telling you, in case you get a flat, this is how you fix it. You know, the sales guy doesn't take out a switchblade, slash your tires, and say, this is how you change a flat tire, and this is how you do it safely on the expressway. But the thing is that it's not until you have that flat tire, be it in life or an actual car, that you learn how to do it. Now, I have a 16-year-old, so he just started driving a couple of months ago, and probably about 8 months ago, after he got his learner's permit, and we're starting to take him out on the road. We actually had to change a flat tire on the car. So he's thinking, I'm just going to call the motor club. They're going to come out and do it, or Dad's going to get up an hour early and change it, and he can just hop in the car and turn the keys on. I said, no, absolutely not, son. You know, this is a life lesson that you're gonna need, to learn on how to change the flat tire. So what I'm trying to say is that you have to be willing to try something. If you want to win, you need to be willing to accept the possibility of failure. Mm-hmm. If you want to succeed, you have to be willing to lose.
Right. And I think it's really important to understand that success is, that people think the opposite of success is failure, but really it's complacency. It's being stuck. Mm-hmm. And so when you take action and maybe you don't get the result exactly what you're looking for, you make some adjustments, you make some tweaks, you seek the advice of some experts and people that have been there. Maybe also you outsource it, right? Instead of trying to do it all yourself. Personally, I'm not going to fix the flat tire that I got on the coldest day in Chicago on the expressway. It was awful, but somebody did come to my rescue. Did I have to wait a little bit longer to do that? I did, but I was nice and warm in my car. So, I at least didn't just stay there staying stuck. I had to do something, make something happen to get moving along. And a lot of times in our business, we encounter these bumps in the road. We, get a flat, but then we have to keep moving along, right?
There's two things with that. Success will only hit a moving target. That's it. It only will hit that. But there's a kids movie that I absolutely love, and I hope I get the name right, because how could you love something if you don't even have the name right? But I think it's Bug's Life. And you know what? Mm-hmm. If you can only watch it's less than 10 minutes of that movie, when you have the ants in procession taking food to their point of delivery. So there's a scene where from a tree there is a leaf that falls, and so as they're marching, you see the leaf going slow left right, slow left right, right, and as it gets right above the ants, it just stops the line. And the ant that's in front of that leaf panics, says, I don't know what to do. One of the leaders of the group comes up and says, calmly, just go around. But we never go around. I've never done it around. I've always gone this way. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Follow me. Mm-hmm. And they go around, and the line continues. There's similarities to that in life. Mm-hmm. It goes back to convincing your boss. I mean, just think about it. Pick up a newspaper and go to the back pages, and after you pass through the sports section, you got about 10 pages of car dealerships. You think about that, and when you talk to these car dealers, you're like, why do you still advertise in the newspapers? And you're going to have the car dealers tell you, because that's how we always did it. Mm-hmm. And it isn't until the new generation, the younger, the sons, the daughters who are going to take over the business are going to start asking, I understand that this is how we did it, but by the time it hits print, that car's probably not even there. Right. So sometimes you need to change your habits.
It's the same with sales. A lot of times we think of that old school sales. It's trying to convince and manipulate somebody and push your product onto them. But instead, new school sales says, hey, understand their needs first. Ask them questions. Follow your process still. But again, you're serving from that genuine space. And I think, too, a lot of people are tired of being kept a secret. They want their message to get heard, but they don't understand how to get that out there and communicate it. And so they feel that they're going to be too pushy. But aren't you really doing a disservice by not offering this gift to somebody that can absolutely help them?
And not only the gift, the service, and you really need to understand yourself and say, what am I selling? I will tell people I never sold pizza. I sold experiences. I sold solutions. If you can be the business, you can be the brand, you can be the person that identifies a problem and you can solve that, that is where your worth is at. I mean, think about this right here. Okay, we each have a pen here. So, when you, almost like in the movie Wolf of Wall Street, you say, like sell this pen. So and I love, again, parts in that scene is like, well, the way to sell the pen is to know the audience. What can you do with this? Do you even need it?
Exactly.
Kind of like it goes back to the, to the electric tools, like the drill bit. Do we sell the electric tool that's going to house and move the drill bit so that we can make a hole? Or are we selling the hole in the wall for people to hang things on that are going to give them that remembrance, that experience, that reminder of, wow, look at this picture, look at this.
Yeah, I love the analogy of sell me a pen. Back in the day, I actually did that when I was interviewing sales reps. It was amazing how many people went into infomercial mode, or they just completely blanked out and they freaked out. And really what it was is I didn't even want the pen. If you would have just asked me a question, I really wanted a pencil, right?
Oh, I love it. Now that you mentioned that, that really makes me think, wow, no wonder you're going to be the recipient of this year's Daily Herald Business Ledger
award. Yeah.
Award because of your way of thinking.
It's a little different, but yet at the same time, it's what we resonate with. So yes, tonight is the ceremony. I'm very honored to receive the Young Entrepreneur Award from the Daily Herald Business Ledger. So thank you.
Oh, now I see why.
Yes. And I think it's important to help us help you craft your sales and marketing plan so you understand what that means to you. That's something that we do at Sales from the Heart. So feel free to connect with me on Facebook at Sales from the Heart, also YouTube or salesfromtheheart.com. Again, you can also call into the show, ask your questions live, or you can email us at info@salesfromtheheart.com or 773-236-0015 is the studio number. All right, so we've given them a lot of great information, Ramon, about establishing that credibility, speaking from the heart, being authentic. We've given some social media tips and tools. What's another aspect of branding and marketing and sales that you think is really important for people to know?
And something like this is relevant in any business that you're in. You need to figure out a way. How am I going to get smarter at whatever it is that I want to do? Because your time is of value. It's almost like saying, the reason I haven't joined a health club yet is that I haven't found a club that has this, that specifically. If we wait for that, the end it will forever be waiting. There's enough clubs out there where you say, okay, this one has, 6 out of 9 things that I need where I can get something, done. I would just say, just really think about time.
Yeah.
And if necessary, one day, literally just stare at a clock. And I tell people, stare at a clock, but those clocks that have the second hand that make that noise, click, 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 and think of every time that it goes click, 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 and think of those as a lost moment that you had to actually do something. And at the end of whatever time you're listening to that, that is going to be a catalyst for you. And you're going to say, wow, I can't believe I let this happen. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, listening to an infomercial. Doesn't matter if you're commuting and you have headphones on. Use your time.
Yes. So meaning you're gaining more knowledge about a particular industry or topic that really interests you, but then we have to actually implement that because people think knowledge is power, right? But is it? I mean, it's more about that application of that knowledge and sharing that with other people. And I can relate to what you just said because for many years, I denied what my gift and my calling is. And obviously, as you know, we've heard on the show, it's about serving others through coaching, working one-on-one with people. And I resisted that. I still, to this day, resist the word coach every now and then because I bring a different aspect to it. And I hate being categorized into this label. But you know what? It's not about me. And just the other day, somebody picked up the phone. They saw the flyer for the event that we're having next week, Tuesday, for the National Hispanic Sales Network. I'm speaking at a seminar there. And he said, what caught me is the bullet points of what you're going to be talking about, but also the fact that you're a coach. And I said, thank you for sharing that, because I was going to remove that from my title. But for so many years, I sat around thinking that I couldn't start my own business, that I had to go and make that money first, or I had to do it in the conventional way. What about some of those people that are out there that have that hesitancy to just begin? They don't know where to begin, what to do. What would you advise them on that?
One of the things that this really brings me back to is a lot of mentoring that I have done with students in high schools and colleges. One of the things because I was looking to build a relationship a decade from now. So when students would leave school, I wanted to have a professional relationship with them. So I would ask them, so what is that you want to do? And a really good example is a good friend of mine, Mike Iliopoulos. And when he was a freshman at University of Illinois at Chicago, UIC, he always says, Ramon, I want to be a sports announcer. A sports reporter. I want to be like, and he mentioned a couple of anchors and names in Chicago. And he says, I want to be like them. I want to be on the news. I want to be on, reporting and talking about sports and talking about news. And I said, okay, great. So we talked a little bit about how he had in his mind mapped out what he needed to do with regards to careers, with regards to internships, to make that happen. And ultimately, we were looking at something that probably at the earliest was going to happen in about 2 or 3 years when he applied for his first internship. I told him, when you do that, Mike, how many other people do you think are going to be applying for that same opportunity? So let's just say a TV station has internships opportunities. So what do you think the ratio is going to be? 10 students for every one internship, 50, 100 to every one internship? Says, we don't know the number. I said, but what I want you to do is think about how can you set yourself apart from them? He says, I don't know. And I said, you can very easily start doing what you want to do in the future today without the degree. He says, well, what do you mean?
Yes. Wait, can you say that one more time? This is key. Listen up, write it down.
You know what? Now when we have to say, word for word, stop, rewind, and get it,
and watch that again on YouTube.
Yeah, and watch it again on YouTube.
You don't necessarily need a degree or to finish, some certification before you can actually start and begin to implement.
Yeah, to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And so he looked at me, he's like, well, what are you talking about? I said, start your own channel. I don't care if it's on Ustream, YouTube or whatever other channels were around. I said, but you could very easily talk about sports, sports here at school, at the actual games, and report it yourself. And it doesn't matter if you only have one viewer and it's your mom.
Yeah.
So the thing is that as time, you're going to have practice. You're going to get better at it. And when you go to interview for that internship, you are going to be able to tell the person interviewing you, look, take a look at my blog, take a look at my channel. This is what I've been doing for the past whatever time, 6 months, a month, a week, a year. And this is, and you could see the progressions that I've made, how I stumbled at first and where I'm at now. And hopefully with the opportunity with the internship here at your XYZ station, I will be able to move forward and learn.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun looking at this show a year from now.
Oh, yeah.
But,
really quick. So what,
Yes.
What happened he didn't take all of my advice, but currently he is on his second job, because I know he just recently got an appointment, a station somewhere in Waco, Texas.
Nice.
So he's doing his dream. And I asked him 2 or 3 years ago, I said, Mike, what about that advice I gave you about, not having to wait for that degree to do what it is that you want to do? He says, Ramon, totally spot on. I wish I would have done it. And that definitely would have been a catalyst in my career.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is your dream? What are you holding back from? Please feel free to share that with us. You can send that email to info@salesfromtheheart.com. And you can also call into the show, 773-236-0015. All right, so people moving forward with that dream, you don't necessarily need a big financial investment to start. Most people have their cell phones here, right? They can begin to record and use video. I know for me, that was something that was pretty scary. I like to be more behind the scenes as opposed to in front of the camera, and somehow this opportunity came along. Even doing my first YouTube video, which I think we just activated this account like 2 weeks ago on YouTube. That was a big leap for me, but it was kind of like exercising and building up that muscle, right? You had to just start. It was going to be a little uncomfortable. You're going to be you're not going to be as fluid as you would a few weeks later, and especially a year later. So just begin, start somewhere. And if you need a few little tips on video, I'd highly recommend Bruce Himmelball from Blue Sky Video. If you need any of that contact information, please call me. I'm sure we have a few references in addition to that we can pass along to you. Anything else that you could recommend?
I think that we'll add those on a comment section or an annotation on the YouTube video.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that you use that word muscle. Now, I don't even think I took biology in school. How many muscles do we have in the human body? But there's two big learnings and takeaways that I get, from when I hear about, just hearing the word muscle. Very good friend of mine, social evangelist and the world's most followed CMO on Twitter, Ted Rubin. He always says that relationships are like muscle tissue. It needs to be exercised. It needs to be massaged. It needs to always, be given its due and its necessary attention in order for it to grow.
The proper nutrients, you need to feed it, right?
Absolutely. And then, when it comes back to social and digital, and as Judah had mentioned about the Super Bowl, I'm thinking about the Super Bowl last year. There was a very highly talked about real-time moment where Oreo created what was called Dunk in the Dark. And in the comment section, I'll put a link to to what that story was. It was basically, when the Super Bowl went dark, Oreo was quick to react and just putting out a photo that said, lights are out, but you could still dunk in the dark. And it was of taking the cookie into the milk. Now, the thing is that when that was able to happen, a very good friend of mine, from Mondelez, the parent company of Oreo, Bon and Bao, talking to him about that, he said, Ramon, because he can't say Ramon, so he says Ramon. He says, the reason we were able to do that is not only because we had all the people already connected in the room with regard to creative and listening to what was going on, is that this was part of what we call, this was our muscle memory, meaning that we just came off of a 100-day campaign where every single day we tried to find something about the Oreo to make it unique and creative with regards to the day. So because we had that muscle memory of doing something, managing a micro interaction every single day, when the big opportunity happened, when it was presented to us at the Super Bowl, it was just another day because of the muscle memory. So you need to exercise something, in your life, be it yourself physically, your mind. You need to exercise something. Because, again, success will only hit a moving target.
Yes. And understand that there's other resources out there for you as well. So maybe you don't know how, when you go to the gym, how to work a particular piece of equipment. You can ask somebody that's there. You can speak with a trainer. There are ways to get started without actually having to invest in a lifelong package of, trainers. You don't have to be overwhelmed by that. And it's the same thing when people come to me, they want to work with me one-on-one, but they need to slowly ramp up. We have free content and resources here at this show. We'll be providing that next week, Tuesday, at the JW Marriott in Chicago. So the National Hispanic Sales Network, NHSN, in Allstate are sponsoring this event, and we're going to talk not just about sales and marketing, but also specific to your industry. So you might be in IT services, you might be a CPA, an accountant, an attorney. This all applies to you. Do you not agree that sales and marketing first of all, they go hand in hand. They're like brother and sister. And it's critical to all of us out there because we're communicating our message and we want to be heard, right? But we also, more importantly, want to be able to service other people out there and do it in the most effective way.
Absolutely. And so one of the benefits sometimes, the entrepreneur has, because there's sometimes, I always tell people in the pizza business, I'm the red tape. I'm the yes, no guy. So fortunately enough, I talk to myself. So the sales talks to the marketing, talks to the financial, talks to the operation because it's the same person. Unfortunately, in many businesses, each one of those is a department, each one of those is a silo, and it's incredible how sometimes, they don't talk to each other. And, la mano izquierda, la mano derecha, they have no idea what the other one is doing.
Translate that.
No, your left hand or doesn't know what the right hand is doing. So, what I'm trying to say is that it does go hand in hand, and it needs to go hand in hand. And I'm excited about the event, at the JW next week. That I think I'm also going to go.
All right.
I'm going to go, and hopefully, if there's anyone that caught the show and you have the time, please attend. We'll have the opportunity to. To put the face behind the logo and say hello in real life and
engage with Ramon and myself. You can actually get tickets at nhsn.org/outloud, or you can also email us and I can send you that information, or we'll just put the link in the comments below on YouTube as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. So just to kind of wrap up some of the things that we highlighted today, if you can leave everybody with one main thing that you want them to get, or maybe we don't have to limit it to one, because I know this is Ramon here. If you even just YouTube him, you can see all the talks that he's done, and he is very mellow today.
Oh.
I mean, you can bring it. We've got about 10 minutes left. If they can handle it, just turn down the volume a little bit.
Funny.
And get ready for this, right? So bring it. Come on. What is it that you want to share with people that you think is really important for them to hear, whether it's sales, marketing, or just about being real, being you?
Yeah. So what's today's date?
Today is
Come on, Jenna.
Thursday, September 18th.
Now, Thursday, September 18th. T-minus what? Maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks to Halloween?
Yes.
All right. So I forgot where it was. Somebody was calling in on a show where I overheard the conversation, and they said, "Oh, my daughter finally decided what she wants to be for Halloween." Now, Mom, do not go and buy your daughter that princess outfit that she wants to be for Halloween because she's going to change her mind. The reason that I bring that up is that when people want to get into business and people want to use the tools of social media and people want to use all of the herramientas, the tools at your hand, you get bombarded and saying, how could I be me? What's my voice? So the parallel to Halloween coming up is that you're going to constantly change your mind what you want to be on Halloween. The good thing is, in business and life and digital and social, the easiest person you can be is, guess who? You. You don't have to do your homework. There's no book to read. You might have to just talk to yourself. Talking to yourself is cool. Just sometimes be careful about answering yourself, because then you can get into an argument. But there's nothing more at the beginning. I would tell people you need to be a rat, you need to be real, you need to be accessible, and you need to be transparent. Because if you're not, you will get caught. And it goes back, giving away my age here, being a fan of the Flintstones. There was a scene where Fred somehow became a rock star, and he forgot that he had a family. And what happens in that is that he's neglecting his wife and he's neglecting his neighbors. And they're saying, I can't put up with Fred. What can we do? They would go to the concerts, and he had thousands of people there chanting and rocking to his music. So then his wife, Wilma, tells the neighbor Betty, I have an idea. So Wilma says, let's start a rumor that Fred is square. So then she just draws this box and makes sure that somebody overheard it and said, do you know that Fred is really square? No, I didn't know. Somebody overhears it, word of mouth, travels within the next 6 seconds, and the entire concert hall is left empty because of a rumor.
Wait, now for the younger generation, what does square mean? We're not talking about Foursquare, right?
No, we're not talking about Foursquare, and we're not talking about Square, the physical device that goes on your mobile phone so you could
Swipe
scan
credit cards?
You can swipe credit cards. You're talking about somebody who just either kind of doesn't get it, really has no personality, might be borderline hermit. So by spreading that rumor, people were thinking, oh my God, I thought he was somebody else.
He's not cool anymore.
He's not cool anymore. So the whole thing is just let the world get to know the face behind the logo. And then people say, well, you know what? I don't have a logo. If I asked my mother this, 40 years ago when she sold Avon, she would tell me, mijo means son.
I know that one.
You knew that one.
I knew mijo.
She said, she would tell me, what are you talking about? I have no logo. I sell something door to door. And I would just respond to her and say, Mother, your logo is your smile. Yes. We all have that. Take advantage of that. Don't just wait for that, for that new shiny tool. Let the world get to know the face behind the logo, which is the face behind the smile. And that's the difference that we made. When I had my Domino's pizza stores here in Chicago, we wanted people to get to know the people that they were doing business with. Realize that it's not free. The biggest cost is definitely going to be your time, but always be farming. No matter what you put out there, think long term.
Yeah. So when you say always be farming, planting those seeds, right? And understanding that it takes time to flourish, but the biggest thing that you can begin to implement right now is being you, sharing that smile, connecting with somebody else authentically. This isn't just some woo-woo talk, right? I mean, this is real stuff.
This is real stuff.
This is who you are. This is what it's about. I mean, who would have guessed years ago when we spoke and it was an event that I was lining up with a business partner, and that ended up turning into a flop, and it didn't come through. But look what came through today, years later.
Yes.
So absolutely grateful that we ran into each other at the Hispanic Expo again as well. We're always staying connected via Facebook, social media. So where can people find you?
You've been texting me lately.
I know, I am. I needed to know, who is Ramon today? Wow, he's still the same guy from before and then some. And that's what it's about. We can transform and change. I know I have versus a few years ago versus now, but this is the real me now. I didn't understand who that was because I was living that false sense and not embracing my true gifts. So how can we connect with you, Ramon?
I tell the world that I am just a tweet away. And that's Ramon, RAMON _ my last name, De Leon, D as in David, ELEON.
All right. Any other place they can connect with you, or is it mainly Twitter? What if they're not on Twitter yet? Then what?
Then I think that we're gonna have to find a solution for that. But via email at Gmail, I'm always available at RamonWow@gmail.com.
Yeah, maybe you need some guidance on getting started with your Twitter account. I have mine, I just don't use it. But now I'm inspired to get that going. And again, I don't have to do it alone. I can actually have an online business manager, a virtual assistant help me get going. And then from there, you start to see that success and you want to embrace that. So
the other takeaway, really quick, is going to be empathy. Put yourself into the shoes, los zapatos, that shoes of your audience.
What if they're wearing like 4-inch platforms?
Yeah,
you want to feel that pain, Ramon?
It could be. But see, the whole thing, we forget about that. We forget about that empathy. We forget about, how are our people feeling?
Absolutely. All right. So we definitely enjoyed this conversation today, right?
I did.
Yeah. And hopefully you did as well. And there's plenty more to come during the next show. Remember, you can always connect with us at info@salesfromtheheart.com. You can send your questions or topic ideas there. Connect with us on Facebook as well. So you can go to PlanetaXLive. Or for you English-speaking people out there, it's PlanetAXLive, and of course, Sales from the Heart as well. So thank you so much, Ramon, for being here. Hopefully you'll want to come back and be another guest and share some more tips with all of us here.
Cool. And as I say, both of us are out of here.
Woo!